So now we talk about the categories, the different categories by NICHD and the other three important societies which have made these categories in order to decrease the inter-observer variations in the reporting, and because there is a difference in the reporting, there is also difference in management, because the thing that you might be thinking or might be perceiving as suspicious or non-reassuring, others might think it's pathological and they might take an action. So to decrease the operative interventions and to increase more of monitoring and surveillance, there had to be some consensus with the different societies, important and big societies, and they kind of got together and got going these kind of important guidelines, and basis of which I'm taking this class. So the next thing is, now let's talk about the categories. Category 1, Category 2, Category 3. This is according to the US NICHD, ACOG and the Society of Fetal and Maternal Medicine. But RCOG still has that original and the classification of non-reassuring, suspicious, pathological, so on and so forth. So you should know that you're talking about this particular group. We're talking about the American group right now. We're not talking about the European group. This is also one cause of confusion between many of you. Some of you are reading from RCOG guidelines, some of you are reading from HD guidelines, some of you are reading from fetal maternal guidelines. Now let me tell you that there is a difference between American and European guidelines. Something that they are following, they might not be following. Something that they might be following, they are not following. At your level, at postgraduate level, we do not expect you to know, both the guidelines. But whichever guideline you are reproducing in the examination paper or examination sheet, you should know that this is European or this is American. That you should know. Don't mix it. Other, half the management from here and half the management from there, diagnosis from here and policy of diagnosis from here and management from somewhere else. That mix up you should not do. If you're taking one guideline, read it thoroughly, remember that guideline, revise that guideline. Anyways, that was one more trick, because that has also been a cause of concern and question from many of my students. So whenever I give my classes, I usually tell them that this is this particular guideline. As in this class, I think I must have repeated at least 5 times that these are the guidelines. I'm going to American way. American guidelines have taken up. So let's go forward and discuss about category 1, 2 and 3. When I was discussing in the basics about the basics of your CTG tracing, I spoke that you have to talk in terms of 4 things broadly: the baseline, the variability, presence or absence of acceleration, the presence or absence of decelerations. And this is what I've written over here, BVAD. All right, the baseline, variability, accelerations and decelerations. And mostly when I talk about the categories, I'll be going around these points. Let's talk about category 1. Now this category 1 is basically assuring kind of CTG. So what all do you find assuring in a CTG? A baseline of 110, between 110 to 160 beats per minute. You find it assuring? Yes, you do. A variability, a moderate variability. That means a variability between 5 to 25 beats per minute is what you find assuring CTG. So that is all category 1. Presence or absence of acceleration is category 1 according to my guidelines that I'm following. Decelerations, if at all they are present, early decelerations. We call it harmless decelerations now. Since we're discussing the categories, I'm talking about the management here itself. The quiz will be in a later segment. Watch out the quiz, because in quiz there is a lot of your doubts will get cleared. You will know how to answer. You will also get a training of the OSCE kind of questions. You'll get smarter and quicker when you'll solve 2-3 kind of these CTG pattern. I think I have around 10 of them. So detailed discussion and a lot of insight you'll get when you will discuss the quiz. So just watch out for quiz as well. Anyways, so early decelerations, harmless decelerations, that is why you club it as now you'll talk about management. So you called it category 1, and now what about the management? See, this is basically, suppose one of the parameters is a little unbalanced. Let's say that there are no accelerations or there are early decelerations. Do you think, will you call it reassuring? And I will not call it. There is something called guidelines, and there is something called experience, and then there is something called the experience in this particular country. These were guidelines made in America. but we have a different kind of protocol in India. We don't have that much monitoring. We don't have, fetal scalp electrode and fetal scalp sampling and all those things are not available so easily. So for us, monitoring is not that, judicious in our country. And anything untoward that happens, then there is litigation and so on and so forth. So my personal advice will be, if there is an absence of acceleration or early decelerations, I'll become cautious. And I'll not immediately intervene, but monitoring will increase. It will escalate. How will it escalate? Now, according to the guidelines, this is not me now. I'm now going back to the guidelines. This was a practical perspective that I gave you. Looking at this particular thing, I'm very happy. But when they talk about accelerations present or absent, if there are accelerations not present and there is marked variability, I'm still, wanting for more. And when they talk about early decelerations, I become suspicious. What do you do then? In that case, what do you do? They have said, according to the guidelines, they have said, if it's a high-risk pregnancy and if it's a low-risk pregnancy, low-risk in the sense normal pregnancy, there are no high-risk factors. If there is a low-risk pregnancy, you have to divide the monitoring into first stage and second stage. Okay, you have to divide the monitoring into the first stage and second stage. In the sense, you have to do, in case of first stage, the monitoring has to be done every 30 minutes, and in the second stage, it has to be every 15 minutes. In the same way, first stage and second stage, divided here as well. So in the first stage, you do 15 minutes, and in the second stage, you do every 5 minutes. CTG. In case of high-risk pregnancies. In India, if there is a high-risk pregnancy and it's already showing late decelerations, first of all, we don't give the trial. We'd rather, expedite the delivery. But if suppose she's already, let's say 6-7 centimeters dilated and then she's having this kind of CTG pattern, because let me tell you, we're talking about intrapartum fetal monitoring. Intrapartum fetal monitoring. This is not the non-stress test. Non-stress test, that means there is no stress, there's no contraction, and now you're just seeing a trace. Admission test is kind of non-stress test. But if a patient is in labor, this is intrapartum fetal monitoring. Okay. Cardiotocograph. Electronic fetal monitoring is the more generalized term. Anyway, so if suppose in late labor, let's say by 5-6 centimeters dilated, and she starts showing this kind of early decelerations, I'll put the CTG forward. But no, according to the guidelines, second stage, 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes you have to do the CTG. This is what you have to write in the paper. This is what the guidelines say. Right? I'm skipping the second category for some reason. I'll tell you why. I'm jumping on the third category now. Let me just read it directly from what the guidelines say. Alright. According to category 3, what is category 3? Let's skip the baseline. Let's just skip the baseline here, because they've not spoken anything about the baseline. They've jumped on to the variability. Baseline, they've not spoken. Variability, acceleration and deceleration. Alright. I'm just leaving it blank. Variability, they have said absent variability. Absent variability plus obviously no acceleration. Amongst this deceleration, it could be two kind of deceleration. It could be the late deceleration or variable deceleration, or a sinusoidal pattern. They are all clubbed as category 3. So category 3 is actually one of the two. Either it is sinusoidal, that is the 2 number, or one is absent variability, absent acceleration, plus deceleration, either late or variable. Now the definition of the late and variable deceleration I've already discussed with you in the last class. That was category 3. Pathological, I'd rather say. Still they don't call it pathological. What do they ask for management? In such a case, what kind of management do they say? Now, there is, in this case, when you get such a CTG trace pattern, you get a very high risk of, hypoxic damage. Okay, and that can lead to cerebral palsy, hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy. It could lead to catastrophes within the child. But again, they give a leverage to inter-observer interpretation, how you've interpreted the CTG despite of all these guidelines. So they have asked you to do a fetal scalp stimulation test even with this kind of CTG. If the fetal scalp stimulation, if it brings about an acceleration in the CTG, then the chances of having a hypoxic damage is less than 10%. Fetal acidosis, the chances of fetal acidosis even with such kind of CTG is less than 10%. Okay, how will you manage this case? See, if asked, I will not leave this patient unattended any further. No more monitoring despite being, at 6 centimeters or 7 centimeters or even, fully dilated. I will not leave this patient. I'll expedite the delivery. Until the time I expedite the delivery, what all do I have to do? So, maternal position has to be corrected. Left lateral, we call it a left lateral position. Give that position to the mother. Put oxygen on the mother. Give an IV fluid bolus that they have described. Okay, these are all according to the guidelines. IV fluid. Even the role of tocolytics they have described. And they've mentioned terbutaline as the tocolytic. Terbutaline as the tocolytic. So you've given oxygen, they have not put. This thing I am supplementing. IV fluid bolus they have said. Even all 4 position to the mother. Left lateral decubitus is all right. All 4 position to relieve the compression. Okay, IV fluid bolus again to correct shock, hypovolemia because of so many things, perspiration, vomiting that happens during intrapartum. And they've talked about stopping the oxytocin if at all you are giving the patient the oxytocin, and expedite the delivery. Here they have spoken about operative intervention. When they say operative intervention, they can talk about both forceps delivery and the cesarean section. So operative intervention depends upon whether the station of the head. If it's already low, you have to apply outlet forceps. If it's above 0 station, then you have to go for cesarean section, even with advanced dilatation with this kind of CTG. The reason for discussing category 1 and category 3 is simple. Anything which does not fall into category 1 or category 3 automatically becomes category 2. And category 2, the management, see, when I spoke about category 3, the management was more towards operative delivery. In category 2, the management is between the two. You first try these steps, the steps that I spoke about, that is, giving the patient left lateral decubitus position, all 4 position, which is very, uncanny to talk about. Oxygen, IV fluid bolus, about stopping oxytocin and giving a tocolytic, which is terbutaline. So basically, they have put it on the caretaker. Evaluation, increased surveillance and corrective measures. Okay, and then expedite the delivery, because here again you have a potential for development of fetal acidosis, which of course you don't want. So in that case, they have spoken about going in for intervention, not operative intervention, intervention. Category 2, no more monitoring. Like in the broadly, how can I say? Category 1, keep monitoring. Category 3, deliver. Category 2, intervene. Monitor, intervene, deliver. No intervention. Intervention can be of many sorts. Intervention can also be a very conservative intervention. This is maximum intervention. We want the fetus out. Delivery. Most probably operative delivery. Obviously, expediting the delivery means what? And with this, I finish off the CTG. I've spoken about the basics. I've spoken about the categories. I've spoken about the definitions. But until and unless you see the graphs and you discuss the graphs, you will never be confident about CTG. So my next segment is about discussing the graphs with you. Watch out closely and participate in it.